Your child has a performance coming up. Maybe it's a competition, a showcase, or maybe it's their very first time on stage. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you're just wondering, I hope that they will be okay up there.
Yeah, and some kids are confident, but some aren't. And most parents assume it's a personality thing. They would say something like, my child is shy, and they're just like me. And we've heard this time and time again, over and over again, and we don't believe that's true.
No.
Most confident performers we've seen weren't born that way. They were built along the way, over time, through a lot of preparation and through the support of a lot of people around them.
And so today we're talking about where that confidence comes from, what goes into building it, and how you as a parent, you play a bigger role than you might think. And just stick around until the end, because Justin and I are gonna share our personal techniques, how we calm ourselves down when the nerves are there before we go on stage.
Yes, and how we've adapted those techniques for the youngest ones.
Oh, and by the way, if you like this type of content, could we ask you to like and subscribe on your platform of choice? And just write in the comments your questions or reflections. We promise to read and answer every one of them.
So you want to tell them a story about Amalia?
Amalia, she's about 7 years old. She got through the audition of our mini team. And the first time she had her company class, she was crying. And I witnessed her. She was crying. The mom and dad were there and they were gently trying to get her in the class, but she just didn't want to go in. And luckily, there were two friends of her. They each took one of her hands and they walked her in, and she stayed. And over the following weeks, she trained with the group, the mini team, and she learned the choreography. And then the first competition came. And her mom called us. We had a small chat, and she said that Amalia was nervous. And before going on stage, her mom had a conversation with her, and she said, don't think about the competition or the judges. Just pretend it's a showcase, like a normal show, and just enjoy it, Amalia, because you are prepared. It was not a huge speech, not too much pressure. Just you've done the work, go and enjoy it.
Yeah, I saw her and she performed with the group and she was absolutely fine. Actually, she was more than fine. She was super excited, actually. And it's just amazing to see the change in mood from being scared and then being terrified and then going on stage.
So excited. So a few months ago, actually a few weeks ago only, she went on stage for her first improvisation round. And I can imagine how that must be terrifying for her, because you don't know the music on forehand and there's no real choreography. You have to create and improvise on the stage. But she just went for it. Of course, that's normal. She didn't win that first round, but she came back to me in wings and she said, that was so much fun. I want to do it again. But next time I'll try to win.
Yeah, from crying to studio door to improvising. So that's a huge growth curve that she's taking part on. And it's all happened because she was well prepared and she's surrounded by like-minded dancers. She's with supportive teachers and of course parents, and giving her little challenges that helps to stretch her out a little bit.
Yeah, and then it's just about doing it. It's taking just one other shot, one other challenge, trying something new. And I truly believe that that is how confidence is built. And it's exactly the same. That's why I feel so touched by this story, because it's exactly the same that our own son was going through, similar age, around 7 years old, because he was crying and really shy and scared for his first class.
And you can guess there were two other dancers who went to, hold his hand and talk him and coax him into the studio. And he was terrified when he stepped in the studio, but he didn't want to leave the studio after the first rehearsal,
Yeah.
of
A
course.
few minutes later, he
Yeah.
was more than fine.
Yeah, and today he wants to become a professional dancer.
Another thing that with the mindset, with the confidence, it is not a fixed thing. Like saying she is a confident dancer, he is not a confident performer. That fixed mindset, as if children are wired. Ones are wired for the stage and the other ones are just lost.
No, confidence doesn't work like that. It's you're talking about human beings, and human beings, I mean, it comes with and goes with phases and seasons. It doesn't, pan out in a straight line. A child has a good rehearsal and they'll have a great performance and their confidence will be soaring. But then they'll face something harder and that'll put a little dent in their performance and it'll drop a little bit. I think that's just normal. That's how human beings grow, and it's all with ups and downs and wins and setbacks. The question that they shouldn't ask is my child a confident person? It's, have we done enough to prepare them for the next challenge? Because, like we said, confidence isn't permanent.
I'm thinking about the next challenge. It might be that your child is okay in a group choreography, but they might need some more confidence to be a solo dancer. Or it might be that they're fine performing at a local stage in the school,
Yeah.
but they might need some extra preparation to go to New York and fly to one of the biggest competitions in the world.
Yeah, and just because they have nerves is not a bad thing. It means that the child cares about what they're doing. The question is whether there's enough preparation underneath that to carry them through.
And talking about nerves,
Yeah.
I still feel them. I even felt them last week.
Right.
Yeah, I have them before going on stage myself, when I have to do some public speaking, give a speech or something. But I even have them watching my group perform. I'm in the wings as their coach, and I have nerves for them. Or when my son is performing last week even.
Yeah.
I have nerves because I care so much.
Deeply
Yeah.
about it. Yeah. And I remember when I was in a band, I used to have nerves, and I should play the drums. So your limbs have to be loose, right? And
There's no video footage of that.
yeah. And I just felt sometimes I was like losing control, because like I was like hardening is a word for it, and I want to move, and I feel like, I'm just going to be off time, So we both use our own particular techniques to relax the bodies. We'll share this with you at the end of the episode, so stick around till the end.
There's some research that tells us that specifically young athletes and young dancers, they found that competitive performance anxiety, so the feeling really nervous before going on stage, it has been rising over the past decades.
And the researchers have tied it to, one, earlier specialization, year-round training, and faster progression to higher level competitions.
I must say, when I look at competitions or performances now, what the dancers are doing nowadays, compared to when we were on stage 20 years ago, it's just another level. What stood out to us with that research is one of the most effective ways to deal with that anxiety is for parents and coaches to get involved, because the adults around your child or around your dancer adjusting their language, expectations, and that made the biggest difference.
They also found that in youth dance organizations, they should prioritize enjoyment, a sense of control over their destiny, and personal improvement over winning or advancing. And which brings us to the part most parents want to know, and which is, how do you actually prepare for it?
Yeah, how do you prepare your child to be self-confident on stage? And we hear this a lot from parents. I know it's well intended. The kid will be anxious, and the parent will say, "You don't have to be nervous." And even with the
Which is like,
gesture of that.
they undoubtedly get this wrong because they just dismiss the child's feelings, and it doesn't help. It tells the child that what they're feeling is wrong, when actually what they're feeling is completely normal. And it's just that the body is just reacting to what's going to happen in the next few minutes. And it's also a sign that they are taking it seriously. I would be seriously disturbed and worried if a dancer didn't have nerves and they were just like so.
Or they don't care at all.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be nervous. It might sound reassuring. It's well intended. Really, I've said that even myself. But what the child hears is something's wrong with me for feeling this way, and everyone else seems fine. So why can't I just be normal?
Yeah. Compare that to what Amalia's mom said. That was really cool.
Yeah, she just reframed it. Don't think of the judges. You're prepared.
You've done the work. You've go on, enjoy it. Or I think even a better way to do that would be to focus on certain things. Like, I just love watching you dance and how you interpreted a certain section of the music, for example.
Yeah.
And think so.
Yeah. Or simply, I love watching you dance. I love the effort you put into it. It's better than starting with a correction. Like after a child performs, if you go, "Hey, I saw you made a mistake."
Yeah.
Of course you saw it.
Pointing out.
Yeah, and it's okay to talk about it, but Maybe you can say, hey, I saw you make a mistake, but you stayed in it, or you got it back afterwards, or you found your music again.
Yeah, sometimes I would say to the dancers, yeah, that pirouette didn't go so well, but I just loved how you covered it up, or yeah, just to give it just to reframe it, to not make it look like it just messed up.
Yeah. We just want to jump in quickly. If you're finding this helpful, subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. It will help the algorithm find us so we can reach even more dance parents. And share this episode with someone who might need it, maybe a parent who's got a competition or show coming up. Also, in the comments, could you tell us what you say to your child before they go on stage? We love to hear, we read every comment, and we love to hear what works for your family. Now back to the episodes.
So let's talk about the airport runway. Why is an airport runway so long? So we think of performing and performance confidence, it's a little bit like a runway. So an airplane doesn't take off from standing still, of course. So it needs a little bit of distance to build up speed. And if that runway is long enough, that plane will just lift off smoothly, and you're on your way. But if it's too short, well, you're not going on that vacation to Punta Cana. So I think
I
that
remember a short runway. I don't know if it was on a particular island. It was so short that I thought, I hope
really scary.
it was over a highway. Okay, anyway.
And the performance is like that takeoff. So everything before that is that runway. And most families, honestly, don't build a long enough runway. What I mean is that here's what we recommend. The work that you put in prepping their solo, their group piece, or their competition routine.
Yeah, or any challenge, even speaking in front of class or taking a bus alone, like anything that needs confidence. But for dance, you start early. 5 months before the performance. It sounds like a lot, but we are starting in January to perform in May, and our variations, we start in August to perform in January. So
That's about
it's
5 months.
half a year almost. Yeah, 5 months before the performance, you pick your ballet variation, you pick your music. If it's a group piece, the choreographer will set this. But the dancer can start building their general fitness and focus. You can start booking your coaching sessions. You watch a video of the piece. If it's a variation, you just observe other dancers. Get familiar with it.
Yeah. The goal is to build muscle memory, of course. So you want your body to know the piece so well that you could do it in your sleep, or especially when your brain goes blank on stage. And to listen to your coach's corrections, ask maybe a dance friend to watch and give feedback. A second pair of eyes always helps.
Practice it in your living room. Invite mom and dad or brothers or sisters to come and watch a performance for a friend. You could also film yourself on the phone and look back, because you'll give yourself feedback, and it's again another feedback moment.
Yeah. I think also learning the music really helps to almost be able to sing the music in your head without accompanying.
Yeah, you can never be too prepared. Right. And after every rehearsal, you have those moments when the dancer is visualizing and finding pointers where they can work on the next time.
Yeah.
So before your show, maybe with the teacher or with your team, do a full visualization. And it means thinking of the dimensions of the stage. How big is it? How small? How will the lights be? How will the costume feel on my skin? How is the makeup? How is the emotion of the piece? And you visualize every single detail.
Yeah. Like we would do an exercise where if a particular competition stage is really small, you put like little markers on the floor just to help them, be even more clear with what we're talking about.
Yeah, and all these things, that will set your dancer up for success. And then when you're in the wings,
On the wings, just trust the work you've done. That's where your job as the parent is the biggest. Keep the environment very calm, keep the language positive, and just keep the routine as normal as possible. The principle is to build the runway with the time that you have.
now we've come to the techniques that we've promised you in the beginning.
You want to go first?
Yes. It took me a while, but I found a technique that helps for me. It's a simple grounding technique, and I also focus on my breath. So what I do is I identify 5 things I can see, and I will pinch my fingers. I'll say, I see the screen in front of me. I see Justin next to me. I see the microphone in front of me, and like that, I go for the 5 things. While pinching it, I feel the sensation. And the next thing I'll do is 4 things that I can hear. Then I'll go to 3 things that I can feel. For instance, the seat behind me, my feet on the floor, my costume. 2 things I can smell, and 1 thing I can taste. And what it does is that simple exercise, it pulls my brain out of the what if, because I'm terrible at that. What if this goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? And it brings me back into the moment. I stop spiraling. I can't worry about forgetting my lines if I'm just busy looking at the color of the scene, right?
Yeah. The
And
sound of the people talking, just like refocusing your mind.
refocusing, and it brings me peace. And I also shared this with my older students. It works for me. It helps for some of them also.
Yeah. I prefer a more physical approach, a physical tensioning and relaxation of the muscles. So the way I do this, I'll just breathe in deep. So there's this buildup of pressure inside the lungs, of course. And then I'll just tighten all the muscles in my body.
Like a Hulk.
Maybe. And I just visualize the neck muscles, shoulders, torso, legs, feet. And then one by one, I'll just let go slowly. And I'll just relax the muscles. And at the same time, I'll just breathe out slowly. A little bit akin to like you're letting out the air of a balloon very slowly. And I would just repeat this several times. And the calm that you feel inside your body, that's the technique that I used to use before I used to go on stage.
Yeah. And then for very young children, this is what I do with them. We teach them the box breathing, also used in yoga. But we let them trace their fingers. So they put their hands up, and with one finger they trace along the other finger. So they'll go 4 counts up, going up along the finger, and they breathe in 4 counts. Then at the top of their finger, hold your breath for 4 counts. And then you slide down, breathing out for 4 counts. And at the bottom of your finger, hold for 4 counts.
Right.
And they can go like this for the next one and the next one, maybe 5 times. If they need it, they can change hands to the other hand, and they'll have 10 box breathings.
Yeah.
And it calms them down.
And for older dancers, sometimes it takes them through a visualization process right after rehearsals, and they warm the body when they moved a little bit. Now some just lay down on the floor.
Oh, they must be so happy laying down on the floor.
Yeah, you can see a smile will there immediately. And then I just take them through a small guided scanning process from the head to the toe. They're just relaxing, releasing, trying to imagine, no, not trying to imagine, trying to feel and sense their body. It helps, number one, the body to relax. And what happens is that the mind kind of opens up. So mind is calm. And then we ask them to visualize the difficult parts of the choreography. Yeah. So they'll come up with their own ingenious solutions to problems that they've been stuck with for a while. And so it could be sensing how they would grab a partner's arm. What would the floor feel like? Would it be dusty? Would it feel sticky? Would it be just perfect? So I asked them to feel the lights on there. Imagine that they stood on stage and I feel the light on their eyelids. All of these things make it very visceral, and you can really feel it. And it helps them to let go of, stuck of tension. And it helps them focus the mind on what's needed at that.
Yeah, I like what you say, that they focus on the things that can go wrong. It's like your mind has already a plan B for what if something goes wrong on stage, because you imagined how it could go.
Yeah.
But what are we looking for as a teacher or as a judge or as an audience? What does that mean, a confident dancer?
Yeah. What do we see when we see a confident dancer? What would the jury member who's seen hundreds of dancers for the day, and
I think they make up their mind already in the first seconds.
you think so?
Yeah.
First
Sometimes you see how a dancer comes on stage a little bit insecure. So I think it does matter. The first is really the entrance, because walking on stage with your head up, shoulders down, I walk on with purpose.
Yeah. Confidence is projected by measuring the distance between the ears and the shoulders. So if you're underconfident, that they creep up.
A slouching.
Also the slouching thing, and is just to try and increase the distance there. So making distance between ears and the shoulders as long as possible, and try and keep a long neck. Probably why they tell the ballet dancers long neck all the time. So it projects a sense of confidence and ease and this ethereal quality that we are looking for. It's all about posture from beginning to end. This is something that we cover in the Dance Advantage, our book,
That's right.
where before a child goes on stage, they can physically load up their bodies and charge their bodies up. Standing tall, grounding their feet, lengthening through the legs and the spine.
I'm even doing it while you say it.
I can feel it, yeah. Breathing larger, because I just want to ask them to take up make more space. What happens when you do that? It's measurable. I think they conducted a study in Harvard where they measured, the adrenaline levels and the cortisol levels rising. What it does, it kind of narrows your focus. It kind of gets you ready, so to speak. Think of it like charging a battery up before you use it. So that physical posture that you take charges up the body, and that supports the mental and emotional side of it, of course.
Yeah, for the kids, I call it the hero pose because they
Right.
actually stand like the superhero, legs wide, like "Tu-tu-du." But just try it yourself. Maybe while you're listening to this episode, if you're not driving the car. But you will feel different from hunching over your phone or hunching over your screen. And the thing is, your child can do this in the wings before stepping on stage.
Yeah. And then just using the space as a dancer, there's an underconfident dancer will walk up on stage, they'll stand in a particular location, and they'll just loiter around in the same space again and again, and they won't use the space, they won't expand their choreography. And so if there's a choreography that asks you to go into the corners, just go for it, use the stage and physically fill the stage, but also not to forget there's a space above your head.
Yeah.
Most stages.
I was going to say project also your energy. Because
Yeah, a little bit like how an actor would project his or her voice without shouting, by the way. And that helps because I remember watching this play, and the performer, the lead actor, had performed like 5 nights in a row or something like that, and he lost his voice, and he was completely hoarse. But it was amazing. I was sitting up in the balconies. I could hear every word he was saying, and that's what I mean. That just that confidence, it helps to.
Yeah, and even like when there's a moment of stillness, just claim that stillness.
That's true.
Yeah, and don't fidget, don't adjust your hair. Be still and let the audience come to you. Project your energy in the theater.
Yeah.
And it has to do with confidence.
That has to do with confidence, because there was this performance that we went to watch, and there was this teenage group, and the girl dead in the center was really nervous, and she was giggling all the time on stage. And my God, the amount of times that she was fidgeting with her hair, and we counted it because we saw this in the rehearsal. So during the performance, we counted 1, 2, and it went all the way up to 68 times during the entire, I don't know, 3-minute choreography there. And that was quite, yeah.
Yeah, but at that moment, I didn't realize that she might have been not well prepared enough. And that could be the case. And then the third thing we would say is also your exit as a dancer. The piece ends, the music stops. Some dancers, they break the spell immediately.
Yeah.
It's like they break the character, they look at the audience nervous, or they start fidgeting, or they rush off stage. The younger ones might say, "Hi, mom," and start raving. But that's cute.
That's
But
cute when they're young, but
But when you're a more serious dancer, the exits count as much as the entrance. So hold your final pose a few seconds, and then let the music fade and walk off the same way you walked on, often still in the character of your piece.
yeah. And if your child is particularly anxious, or if they're performing consistently causes a distress, which is not very healthy, right? We would suggest that you just, go in conversation with someone who understands both the dance world and your child's specific.
Yeah, so some nerves are normal, but if it's beyond normal or they can't deal with it, just go seek some help.
Yeah.
And now let's go back to where we started, the story of our Amalia, 7 years old, from crying at the studio door. And look what was already in place. So she had 2 friends who walked her in, the teacher ready for her, adjusting the expectations, a mom and a dad who didn't say Just don't be nervous. But they said, pretend it's a showcase, you're prepared, enjoy it. And each person did something small, but also right. And those things just stacked up.
Yeah, so if your child has a performance coming up, sit down together, go through your calendar, and just calculate how much time you have before the performance, and ask them what is the one thing that you can do between now and towards the performance that will make the runway a little bit longer, meaning that they
More
feel
prepared.
more prepared, more supported, and one thing that they can focus clearly on instead of like 100 million things. And do we need another rehearsal? Do we need to rehearse in front of an audience? Or maybe just even having conversation. And if you want to go deeper on the hero pose, the preparation timeline and the confidence building process, our book, The Dance Advantage, covers all of this. It's on Amazon and there's a link in the description. Go and get it.
I would say dream it, dream big, have that spirit, and then just do it. Get to the action and give back. Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.